Hello everyone, it's Melissa Thomas and I am super excited to be here with this month's card class. I had a few of you who took advantage of the packets for the card class, and if you're wanting to purchase the PDF for the card class because you want some of the measurements, then I'm happy to do that. My PDFs are always $15. Or full classes are $35. This month, I normally do 4 standard size cards, but this month I did 2 standard size cards, a fun fold, and a couple of treat packages. So hopefully you're excited about that. I know with back to school and these really fun, vibrant colors, I thought that would be a good time. It features the Friends for Life stamp set and dies, and a few other punches and pieces, but nothing too crazy. So, all right, I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna talk a little bit about the 2 treat packages. So this treat package features some cute colored pencils. They're like multicolor pencils. They're made from recycled wood. And I thought they'd be a really fun back to school gift for kids or teachers. I will make sure on the PDF that I link that item, and I'll put it on my favorite things list, which is on my website at C2C Stamping. And I can link that down below here as well. So this is a great design, especially if you do, like, you like to gift maybe nail files or other things that you can put kind of in one of these slots. I made it to be 1 3/4. I'm just checking it. So, and then you're gonna kind of just score it where you think you need to, basically. So I think for me on the long arm, I don't remember, but I usually just hold my item in there and then I score it based on the item. This one looks like it's scored at 7 1/4. And then it's probably going to be scored at 7 1/2. I just did a little 1/4 inch piece. So once you have that, then you can take your pencil and you can kind of hold it together. I actually used our old Stampin' Up! Stapler and I just stapled on either side of the item. I'm going to cover this with a little piece. So I'm going to grab a 1 3/4 inch strip of our paper. I always include the designer series paper as part of the class. I think it makes it really fun. I'm going to see, I've got a bunch of random strips here, so I might do something a little more colorful this time. And I think I ended up doing, I trimmed this down a little bit. There we go. And then I just wrapped it around. I put a little bit of tear and tape on the ends and the back. And I used the hexagon punch and thought the thinking of you would be a good sentiment for all of our teacher friends going back to teaching over the next couple of weeks. So I'll be tucking some of these in a few of my favorite teachers' boxes. Even though my daughter's in high school, I still think that it's really nice to get little thank you gifts and fun things in your box. All right, so with this one, I need to find my, I don't know if I have another hexagon. Let me go grab one. And because this one has a little bit different of a color twist to it, when I stamp the leaf, I'm gonna stamp it in Granny Apple, and I'll probably stamp the sentiment maybe in Shaded Spruce. So this class, this DSP features a lot of different colors. So you can use, there's like 15 different colors in the designer series paper, which is wild. When I originally stamped my project, and the one that you'll see in the PDF, it says, "So excited for you." And the reason I did that one was I wanted to make one of these for my daughter for shirting school bag. I thought it was really cute. The problem is that the sentiment was a really long sentiment. So I just used my snips and I cut the stamp. And guess what? You can still put the stamp together and make that long sentiment, but it's nice to know that you can cut stamps and you can make them do what you want them to do. So if you want a stamp to be stacked, then stack it. I did put the dimensionals on here pretty tight because I didn't want them to be hanging over the edge. And I also kind of tipped this up quite a bit so that you could see some of the DSP. I partnered this paper. I love the gems that it comes with, but they're on back order. And so I partnered this paper with the iridescent adhesive backed discs, and I actually think that they are super cute for this paper. I think they look cute. I think they're fun. And I think this is a really easy way to add a little bit of bling to these projects. There's a lot of different colors in here. I haven't used the red as much, but there's like a balmy blue, maybe that's a berry burst, a whitish, and then a green, probably granny apple. So super cute, right? These are fun. These are easy. And I think anybody would be excited to get this. The only other piece that I added on here was I tied a little bow. It's not even a bow, it's just a knot on the pencil. And I thought that that added just a little extra flair. And you know, who doesn't want to get a really fun pencil? I love school supplies. This makes me happy. So excited about these and hoping that you will make that. The other little 3D item that I made, and I've got a couple different versions here to show you, features the mini pocket envelope dies. Mini pocket envelope dies, yeah. So these are actually made for gift cards, and it has a lot of other little dies that go with it, and so you can do different kinds of like tags and pieces and rivets and stuff. But what I found was if we cut the bottom off and we left it, then we could make this cute little pull. And I thought this was a fun way to, maybe you could use this as a birthday party favor. And I found these little sour rainbow rolls on Amazon, and they're actually tasty, which is cool. So we talked about earlier when I held this class in person, you know, did we want to do best wishes or love you best? So I actually like it a little better just stamped on the DSP and not on this piece. So I'm going to save this piece for another card. But let me show you how to put this together. So I've already, if you're taking the class, I've already pre-cut, die cut this for you. And you can tell I've used a variety of different papers. They all look super cute. You know, I think there's a lot of like rainbowy striped papers. So I don't think that you need to do anything special, like buy 27 packs of paper to make them all look the same. A little bit of difference is okay, but we're gonna trim this bottom piece off. So that would normally be what you would tuck under, right, in order to make this a really cute little gift card or money holder. But we don't need that piece. So we're going to throw that piece out. We're gonna grab a little bit of tear and tape. It is a tight fit here on the tear and tape. I'm just gonna say that that's a tight little tab right there. But I like tear and tape for my 3D projects. It just seems to hold the best. And what I do is once I get it on there, I have to kind of push to make sure I've got it all applied well. Then I take what's the extra and I kind of fold it back on itself so that that doesn't gush out and, you know, impact my project otherwise. And then I like to fold this from the crease, keep this tucked in, and then I know I've got a nice piece. I had no idea if this was gonna work. When I got these guys, I was like, oh, those are bigger than I thought. We're gonna go ahead and stamp the sentiment on here, and we're gonna stamp the best and the wishes. I do like that there are two separate sentiments. I like that this is a sentiment builder set because then you can build all kinds of sentiments, right? And I like that they're separate sentiments. Then I can do different colors on each of them, which I think makes the project a lot more fun. So we're gonna do the best in purple. We're gonna do it in berry burst. And we're gonna do it just a little bit to the left. 1, 2, 3, beautiful. And I like stamping on designer series paper. I think that always has a fun look. People are like, oh, how'd you do that? And then when I am stamping different colors and I'm kind of layering them, I do like to layer them in a way where it looks like I've actually layered them. So I'm gonna have the fonts kind of overlap a little bit. And that just helps to make it look fancy, quote unquote. All right, so then we're gonna grab our fun little rainbow sour roll. And I don't know if I mentioned, but these are tasty. I was worried that they wouldn't be tasty, but they are, thank goodness. And my daughter has also had a few. I've actually had a couple, I don't know what it is. I love a good fruit roll up type. And these are like coated in sugar. They're delicious. Don't tell my doctor. All right, so I take the item, and you can do this. There's a lot of like candy bar type things where you can put candy bars. You can put a Ghirardelli square in here and kind of do the same thing. But I like this idea of like pulling up and pulling the object out. So you're gonna line them up, and you're gonna line up your ribbons, and you're gonna kind of try to keep it tight. I usually use my hand to support this part, and then I make my knot, and I'm making a double knot. So not a single knot, but a double knot. And that's what's gonna help me to get the little ribbons to go straight up in the air instead of one to the left and one to the right. And then I'm gonna kind of adjust, and I see I can go tighter, so I'm hoping I can kind of pull this down a little bit. And that's pretty good. All right, and then we're gonna slide this in here, maybe. Perfect. And I think it's really cute that you can kind of set these up. So I kind of adjusted this a little bit. And I like that they can sit up. I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals on the back of here. So I'll do a little mini dimensional on the tiny heart. And I'm hoping a big one fits on the back of the big heart. And who would not be excited to get this maybe in their lunchbox on the first day of school, or maybe after on their birthday, or after they've done well on a big test, or get it in your, you know, box at like your box in your teacher box, your mailbox. I don't know. I think this is adorable. I also think this is a cute gift for birthday parties. Like, this is a sweet little fun treat favor for birthday parties. And they're super fast because you're just stamping and going. So, all right. So those are our two 3D projects. Moving right along. All right. So let's take a look. The first card that we're gonna do is this one. I wanted a way to feature this grid paper, and I found this idea. This one is cased. I did copy this from another demonstrator because I really wanted to use this designer series paper. So we're going to get this sheet out of our pack, and it happens to be the first one, which is nice. And we're gonna trim it down. So we are trimming it, let's gotta move a few things. You know how you can have like all the room in the world, but yet, you know, you need more room? All right, so we're gonna trim this, and we're gonna trim it to, we're gonna trim 2 off. I was trying to line this up the other day. Like it took me a couple spins to get it. Here we go. So we're trimming 2 off of this end. So we're gonna go right next to it. Perfect. Then we're gonna trim a little bit off the left-hand side, just a little bit, just because the white edge isn't as thick and I want the white edges to be the same thickness. That did not turn out well. That's a shame. Okay, so we're gonna go a different way then, and that's fine. So 2 off of this left. You'll see how I'm gonna fix this. There's been something wacky. Maybe I need a new blade or something. I don't know. Did that earlier too. Okay, 2 off the left. Try again. All right. And then I'm gonna try to carefully trim this down. Just a little bit, and then maybe I'll do just a little bit more. I'm just trying to get it to be as thick as the other side. Then I need it to be, so I'm going to trim 3 off of here. So just lining it up and trying to, we can always cut more, right? But we can't cut less. That's what I've been telling myself. So all right, perfect. So, and then we're gonna go ahead and stamp, and we could stamp lots of different sentiments from the stamp set. Thank you, friend. Love you, friend. Excited for you. Miss you. So I'm gonna go with the love you. And we're gonna stamp that in, you could stamp it in black. I'm gonna do the shaded spruce. I think it's the darkest green we have right now, and it goes lovely with this paper. So love you. And then we're gonna go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together. So you could use the adhesive sheets, but I find that these fonts, these scripts are so big that it kind of is a waste of the adhesive sheet. So instead, I'm gonna get my silicone mat in here, and I have some old glue on here that I can just rub off. And if you don't have a silicone mat, I think it's like maybe $6 now or something, $6.50. But this is a great use of it. So I'm going to put my little friend down, and I've got a sponge. It doesn't really matter what sponge you use. And I'm going to put some glue behind my letters. And then this lets me glue the back really cleanly. The other thing that is tricky about this die is that the words, see how they stretch out a little bit? So as you put them onto your piece, you need to kind of like re-push the script back in. So you can kind of push that down. And then I'm just gonna use the same thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and load up the back with some glue here, just so that I am ready to glue it on the front of my card in a minute. Perfect. And that was thick enough that I probably could have just used, you know, the glue in its natural state, but I figure, you know, we've already got some spread out. We might as well use it. Okay, so I'm gonna glue this piece on here. And if you got these pieces in the packet at home and they're off a little bit, or if you're off at home when you're cutting, you know, remember you can always trim them after you kind of layer the pieces together if you're hanging over a little bit. But just matting all of our pieces. This is going to give this card a really nice finished look. So I'm going to slide that and get that square. That's one of the reasons why I like the Tombow, guys. You have an extra second to move things around, and if things aren't square to begin with. And then this one is a little bit higher than normal, so you're gonna go like it's 4 up. So just make sure you've got 4 of those squares kind of exposed. And perfect. And then I'm gonna take my sticky friend here and kind of put it on the front of the card. And then there is a dot to the die to dot the I, but I find that I can't keep track of it. And so I have just been using different little colors to dot my I. And I think it looks super cute. And then I'm just gonna do some dimensionals on the back of this. I want to give this card a little bit of height, but this is all glued flat. So this is how we're gonna give the card a little bit of height. All right, and we're using a nice thick white card base here. So we've got a nice card to support our beautiful card. All right, so that was card number 1. 3 projects down, 2 to go. All right, card number 2. All right, so I'm gonna take a few extra moments with this one. This is a kite card, and I've got a lot of pieces for it because I wanna show you, hopefully, the easiest ways to put this together and to mark everything. So I've got kind of one that I've cut and one that I haven't cut. Actually, neither one of these did I cut, so never mind. That's funny. All right, well, and we're starting from scratch. Cool. All right, so the kite card, the base measurements I got from someone else. She's not a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I would recommend when you do cut your DSP to save the extras so that if you want to do this later with another card, you remember this. You'll also have all of the measurements in the PDF, but I'll show you how I use this as a guide. I think this card's really fun. It's got the little kite tail. It opens in a really fun way. So whoever gets this card, hopefully they realize how much you love them and that you're willing to do this. All right, so first we're going to tackle the card base. And these measurements are going to be in the PDF, but basically I've marked the measurements off. I've marked the bottom center, and I've marked the 2 sides, and I've marked the same on the other side as well. So I'm now ready to do my cutting and my scoring. I've scored in half, just like a regular card base. And then I'm going to score. So I'm going to slide my cutting blade away, and I'm going to score from one of these to the other. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to score from one of these sides to the other. So having a having one of these score and cut boards is really important, and having a good one is really important for this. All right, so now I've got the mechanisms right for this piece, which is awesome. So now I just need to trim these kite pieces, these kite fronts down. And one of the things I've learned is that starting the blade in the middle of the paper and kind of cutting to the edges seems to do better. And that's also true for the DSP when I'm doing something on a diagonal like this. If not, it's easy to kind of get pulled off course. So especially when I'm cutting on the diagonal, I'll start in the middle. All right, so here we go. We've got this, we've got this. And again, these measurements are on the PDF, or I'm sure you could Google it, but I'm not going to go over the measurements with you because it's way too frustrating. All right, so these are going to fold in. So we've got mountain, valley, mountain, and that is what is going to make the really cool card base, and hopefully it lines up. I would recommend getting your bone folder in here if you can, and like bone fold it, especially before you start decorating it. Bone fold the top piece, bone fold the bottom piece. Just really get in there and score that. And then anywhere where you have pencil marks, it's really easy. You can do pencil marks on all of our cardstock and they erase really easily. So, all right, so we have our card base. We do need an inside piece. We've done the same thing where we've marked it on the paper, and we're just going to trim away some of these excess pieces. So the kites, you know, they're uneven. So there's a shorter top, right, and a longer bottom. And we're gonna trim this piece as well. And then we're gonna trim this piece. Perfect. And I'm gonna stamp this with happy birthday in a little bit. All right, and we're gonna use our pencil. I could just put this side, you know, I could glue this side down, but whatever. Okay, so now we need a piece of designer series paper, and we need a piece that is gonna work for this one. So we've got this one that's got all the fun greens on it. Now, I wanted this to radiate out from this middle point. So let's get our example back. So I wanted it to radiate from here and go out. What's really important about this is when you're gluing, focus on the edges. So what's on the behind here is not gonna probably match up super well, but as long as these edges are nice and even, then you should be good. You could double mat this on the front. I just didn't feel like it was worth it. Like there's no way that that was gonna happen for me. So the way that I cut this was I cut each of the pieces into some triangles because this center, it's in the middle. So I was like, okay, I need to have some triangle pieces, and we're gonna line this up. And we're going to cut each of these in half. So we're cutting on the bias. Again, I think it's really important to don't start at a tip, right? If you try to take a blade into a tip of paper, it's not going to work. But then, remember I mentioned keeping those extra pieces? And the reason I kept the extra pieces was so that I could have a guide for when I am cutting this. Now there are measurements, and those are in the PDF. Yep, say it with me. But once you've made one of these, if you just want to keep the guide, then you can just use the guide instead of having to do pencil marks. I did pencil marks on my original ones, but let me show you how this works otherwise. So if you have the guide, then all you have to do is line it up and cut it. And now I've got my piece and I've got another guide. So that's nice because then I don't have to do a bunch of pencil marks every single time I make one of these. I could imagine that, you know, you guys might want to mass produce these, and if you do, not having to do the pencil guidelines every single time would be really nice, right? So those are going to be some top arching pieces because you can tell they're a little bit smaller. And then these are going to be the bottom of the kite, and you can tell this is going to be a little bit bigger. And here's another one of the bottom pieces. I really love this paper. I love the range of colors on it. And I was excited. I really wanted to make a kite card. I've never made a kite card before. Oop. a little bit off there. And so I was really excited to make a kite card, and then I knew I wanted to make it with this paper. So I was happy. There's a couple of different kinds of kite cards out there right now. There's some that have a little kite just on the front of the card, but I wanted the whole card to be openable like a kite. All right, so let's get this piece in, and I'll show you how we're gonna tape it all together. All right, so we've got our pieces here, and that's weird. It's like a funny little lip there. Okay, and then we've got our top pieces. I think that one goes there, and that one goes there. Perfect. So again, I'm gonna focus on the edges, and I would encourage you to try to get glue, you know, as close down to the corners as possible. And there is a space between the pieces, so, and you'll kind of see that here in a second, hopefully. Nice, and then it's easy to get the top pieces mixed up, but you'll see the dark is at the top, hopefully. And you could orient this whatever way you want, I guess. It doesn't really matter. All right, but again, focus on the outside edges kind of being equal. And then we have our little strip of string. This is from that trio pack of twine that we have right now. And then I did die cut a circle for the high because I felt like the high fit really well in a little fun circle. And of course, we're gonna do another birthday card out of this one because this is fun. All right, so don't mind me, I'm gonna double mount. It's because I don't want to take the time to clean my blocks. All right, so I'm going to stamp the high in shaded spruce, and this is Shy Shamrock paper that we're using. So I do love that we've got several of the new in colors here, Shy Shamrock and not Berry Burst, Petunia Pop. So, super fun. All right, and then I'm gonna stamp the happy birthday on here. I think whoever gets this card is going to be very impressed. And I can see that I stamped on this side with the pencil marks, which is funny. Never fails. All right. So we're gonna pop this up with a dimensional, and we can decorate it with a few of the little gems. I think the blue ones turn out really nice on here. They just have a little bit of contrast. The green are cute too. And then for the inside piece, we're gonna wanna glue our tail down first. So just make sure that you put some glue on the tail area, and put your tail piece down. And then I'm gonna put some more glue on top and kind of sandwich it in. So there we go. And again, wet glue gives us a second to kind of adjust and make sure we've glued it in well. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tie a few of these little pieces on the end to make it look like, you know, an old-fashioned kite. So, and then when you tie these, you're gonna cut them long enough that you can actually tie them in a knot. And then you'll probably wanna trim them down a little bit shorter. And what's great is this fits in a standard size card. It fits in a standard size envelope, which is nice. If you really wanted to mount this on another piece of cardstock, you could. Like if you wanted to have more room to write, or maybe it was coming from a group of people and you needed lots of room to write, then you could just mount it on a standard card base. You could mount it on a standard card base and add some more DSP to the front. So there are a lot of things you can do with this. I just think it's cool to send a non-standard card in the mail. I think someone's going to open it and go, oh, this is interesting. And it has a little tail and everything. And I think also the other thing I like about it is it's pretty flat, and this is small. So like this isn't going to take up a bunch of bulk. Like these little, bows aren't going to take up a bunch of bulk. It's not going to cost an extra amount of money to send it in the mail. So super fun. All right, at this moment, I'm going to plug my next card class. So in the fall, we always do our Merrymaker series, and we've done it. This is our 3rd year running, and I've done Christmas card series even before we did Merrymakers as a collaborative. But there's several of us who design classes together, and we're starting in August with our Christmas card series. So I'm going to show you, we're using the Iconic Imagery stamp set. Really excited, and I want to show you one of the cards. It's beautiful. The cards are fast to put together. It's $35. You make 8 cards, so you're going to make 2 of each of these. By the time the series is over, you will have 32 Christmas cards to send, and we are working really hard to make them all super Christmassy, super cute, and it's a great way to be able to send cards to friends and family. So yay! There we go. There's our kite card. All right. So the last card is a fun one, and it involves a little bit of a technique. And hopefully I've got a sample here somewhere. Oh, good. Thank goodness. All right. So this card is actually a case from the catalog. When we saw the catalog, I knew I wanted to make this card, but I also knew that I didn't want to do something as fussy as what they did. They actually die cut the designer series paper and then glued it all back together, and that seemed crazy to me. So what I chose to do instead was I sent a stencil. So in your packet, you have a stencil cut from thick white. So this is the stencil that I've used to make over 20 cards. It is still in very, very good shape. You have a piece of Whisper White that you're going to use to make this. I've actually got extra pieces of Whisper White in here. Before we work on the stencil piece, though, we're going to stamp the background with Whisper White craft ink. Whisper White craft ink has a purpose. If you want to get a tone-on-tone look, but you don't want it to be so bold as we do with white embossing powder, this is a great way to achieve this. And I know that there are folks who bemoan Whisper White ink, partly because it takes a little while to dry. And I'm okay with that. I like Whisper White craft ink because heat embossing is a mess. It requires me to get out a tool. It requires me to plug things in. And I love heat embossing. I think it's magical, but I just think that it's a lot. It's a lot of effort, and sometimes it's easy just to do this. And this achieves exactly the look I wanted to achieve. Now I'm folding that in half because I want to be able to stamp off at the fold. And in order to do that, or stamp over the edge, I need to have it folded. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna set it aside while we work on the other piece. But don't overlook Whisper White. It's a great ink, and I would highly recommend it. Now, when you have one of these stencil pieces, you are going to be set up to make multiples of these. So I've actually got this in a place where I can make a couple of these. I have my brushes here. So I'm gonna pull my brushes out. And I gotta get my ink. Let's see where my ink is. Here we go. So I'm using Berry Burst and Pumpkin Pie for this. Anytime that you're using our blending brushes, remember that the first pounce that you put down, the first ink you put down is gonna be very, very heavy. So I start off and I work my way in. You're also going to use a light touch to pick up ink and just kind of lightly rub. And then we're gonna start off and then we're gonna go in. So a light pounce on here, right? Just a nice light rub, easy peasy. We're gonna start, did I move it? I did. And you could tape it down if you wanted to, but I can generally line it back up. And then we're gonna go about 2/3 of the way up. We're gonna start with a heavier ink color down at the bottom. We're gonna keep the lighter ink at the top. Then we're gonna take our little Berry Burst one and I'm gonna come in. And we do have 2 sizes. I don't think it really matters what size you use. On this, I'm using one big and one small just because that's what I happen to have already, you know, in these colors. These are washable. You can wash them out and use them for different colors. But look at that, super cute, super fun. There is a die in the die set that we can use to cut this out. I am actually going to hand cut this out because I want to show that it's possible to do it. And I think that it's not as stressful as people might think. No one's probably going to know the difference between these 2 cards. So I'm just using these as a guide. And it is kind of a weird shaped heart. It has kind of a divot in. It's not a perfect traditional heart. So if you have the die set, great, you can go and die cut it out. But if you don't have the die set and you happen to be doing this class at home, you can just do that. Perfect. And done. All right. So I'm going to stamp. So we had this originally, my original design, I just used a straight piece and I die cut. I just cut in, you know, to make the banner edges. But because we had this fun piece left over on this one, I thought it was really cute. So we're going to stamp, thank you. And we're gonna use this fun piece. What's cool about it is you can trim it down. I want the thank you to fit between the F and the D pretty well. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want it to be huge. So I'm gonna stamp closer, and I'm actually gonna move this so I can see a little bit better. So I'm stamping closer to this side, right? And what that allows me to do then is come in with my snips and say, thank you, don't need you. So now I've got it trimmed down to exactly what I want. I'm gonna get our card base. I'm gonna go ahead and gently, I'm gonna score that so it lays a little bit flatter while I'm working to get all my little pieces glued down. I'm going to glue the heart down. And it is kind of a funky shaped heart, isn't it? But it's cute, I like it. So one of the things that I was talking about in class today was that whenever you're starting out as a card maker and you're doing design work, it's important that all your elements touch. And so we talked about card sneeze and how we don't sneeze on our card, and there's all these elements on the card that aren't connected. We want everything touching. So that's why, like, there's, you know, pieces of this are touching all of the different, you know, background pieces, and everything's touching the heart. especially on the focal point. So just an important thing to know. And then I'm gonna do a little more gluing on the back of our front piece here. So I'm just gonna put a little glue down. Nice. And then when we bring it to our project, if we need to kind of reshape it as we lay it down, we can. But that seemed like that held pretty well. And then we're gonna take some little dimensionals. I don't know if this fits the standard size dimensional or not. Yeah, looks like it. Put a couple of standard size dimensionals on here. And we're gonna add a few little exciting pieces, and then we're done. So that is this month's card class. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you would like the measurements or you would like to get the PDF, please let me know. I'm gonna dot my I here. Please let me know, and I'm happy to send the PDF. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put my little piece on the inside. And then if you're interested in next month's class, we do have registration is open for Merrymakers. I will not be doing it until the end of the month. I need to go to Santa Fe and take care of some of my mom's estate stuff. But hopefully you enjoyed this month's class. I want to make sure we can see all of our fun projects. Let's see, we've got this one, we've got this one. Where's our kite? Oh, here it is. So hopefully you enjoyed all of our projects and my projects. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the Merrymaker series, and then I'm also gonna have some fall cards. I'm not sure when and where I'm offering that fall card class. It might be my add-on class for retreat. I am doing retreat in a box. So if you're not able to come to my physical retreat, but you want to do retreat in a box and make all the projects we make, I always offer an add-on class to that. And I think I'm going to be offering a fall add-on class that's called Changing Leaves. It uses the Changing Leaves bundle, and it's gorgeous. It's drop dead gorgeous, and I'm beyond excited about that class. So I wasn't sure how to fit it into my calendar, but I think it's just gonna have to be an add-on class for retreat. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for joining, y'all. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will talk to you later. Bye.